今天我们制作这个无袖的长旗袍直襟，是就是中西式裁剪法，也就是它有省的，OK， 现在我们先来拼纸样，Today we made modern Cheongsam sleeveless and long dress, and with modern cut method, which it has darts, waist darts, shoulder darts, and bust darts. Okay. At first, we put the pattern together and cut the pattern out. (这个是1:2的这个缩小的教学模型，只做教学用的，不是全尺寸的衣服。This is a half size Cheongsam to made for the teaching purpose. It's only half size. 这是后片，折叠布料剪裁，布料
反面朝外。
This is the back of the dress. So we put the fabric right side up,
wrong side out,
and fold it to make
wrong side out.
This is the front of the Chongsan, and when we cut the fabric, we put the main fabric
wrong side up,
and cut the outer line of it. You will notice that and here I remove the seam allowance because I will bending the band strip. I will using and bend to make the slit and the hem. 这是旗袍的前片，大襟。那么大家可以看到，在这个开叉口位置以下，包括底边那个缝缝是去掉的，因为我决定是这个包边直接包边，所以我把这个缝缝去掉了。OK， 剪裁的时候剪裁一片，布料正面向上，沿外圈剪裁一片即可。Now we cut the right small seam. Okay, this is right small jean, 右前襟。我们剪裁的时候也
要反面向上，
剪裁一片。Okay, put the main fabric
wrong side up,
and cut one piece. And please make sure when you cut each pattern for the fabric, you will mark the place of the darts and the notches to help you sewing this Chongsan. 大家在剪裁布料剪裁完了之后，都记得一定要按纸样上的那个标记做出腰省、胸省各个省和已经打过剪口的地方，一定要按照纸样来标记好。那么有助于你在接下来的时候呢，进行布料的剪裁后缝纫。The facing of the front chain， 这是大襟的贴面。When we cut this pattern, when we cut this fabric, we will put the main fabric wrong side up. 我们剪这个前襟贴面的时候，一定要注意布料是
正面向上的。
Okay, with cut the pattern, make the dart, and before we sewing them together, we should iron press down using iron pull to press down the dart and the fabric to make sure we sew it in the right place. Okay. And we sew the collar right side facing right side, sew the three sides of the fabric, and flip the right side out, and leave the beginning. Leave the side seam of neckline open, and iron press down the seam allowance towards the wrong side of the fabric. Then we flip the right side out and iron the collar to fix the outlook. Okay, then the next step, 就是我们把这个裁片裁出来了之后呢，然后把这个所有的这些腰审、胸审、肩审全部都做好了。然后做好了之后呢，我们要先把整个裁片都要熨烫一遍，并且压烫这个胸审各个审全部都要压烫。然后呢，我们再来制作这个领片。那大家做旗袍的这个领片已经很熟悉了，就简单说一下，就是把两个领片正面相对缝合3边，外圈的3边。然后呢，就是两侧的开口的部分呢，不要这个缝缝的部分就不要缝到头了。然后把它翻过来，翻到正面了之后，把两片布的领圈部分的缝缝向内扣烫定型整理熨烫这个领片。然后就是下一步呢，然后在进行下一步缝合裁片之前，我们需要根据自己对这个旗袍的工艺要求来进行包边的处理，对每一个裁片进行包边的处理。那么现在我要做的是简单的一个包边。那根据我的纸样，它是在那个叉口底边和袖笼部分是净缝缝。那么我会做一个那个如图所示的一个包边条，直接夹住叉口底边和袖笼，然后将它夹住这个边缘部分，把它缝合到衣身上去。Before we sewing the patterns together, we should making bias strip to decorate the edges of slit, hem, and armhole. It's the way look like the photos on the screen, so it's very simple. And fold the bias strip towards the wrong side, and clip the edges of the slit and the hem and the armhole, and sewing it onto the edges. 下一步就是我们要把这个facing 前片贴面缝合到布片上面去。大家看到的现在这个贴面是不对的，根据纸样里的那个贴面来做。注意这个布片是正面向上的，那么我们要缝合它的话，实际上是应该怎么样啊？是应该让它在正确的位置，这个根据这些剪口前中线的剪口然后让这个布料反面向上，就是与大襟这个开襟的部分正面相对，然后也就是贴面的反面向上，然后缝合这个贴面。那么在缝合之前呢，你这个大襟的 这个贴面的边缘部分也要进行收边的处理啊。因为这个我现在这边太小了，我就不做处理了。但是你自己做的话，你是要进行收边的处理的。好，就这样边进行收边处理。Okay, the next step is to attach the front facing to the front open jean, and as we see here, we should finish the hem of the facing of the front jean. These two sides, front central, and this side. Then we put the front jean, front facing onto the front jean, right side facing right side, and make sure this line align together, and from the front central line notch. OK， 好了，我们现在已经把这个贴面缝到这个大襟的反面了，正面看。看。这个前右襟的边缘部分也要收边啊，刚才忘了说了，提一句。OK， 下一步就是把这个合肩缝和肩缝和缝合侧缝及这个右前襟，然后Okay, the next step is sewing the front and back together, including the right small jean. And this one is not traditional Chongsan, so I personally think it's better to use invisible zipper instead of the frogs or button, Chinese frogs button. Okay. So, in order to use the invisible zipper here, so I only make the facing and this front open. Okay, you can choose to make the traditional or opened right side. You just need to cut the right small right jean and the facing of the front jean according to the pattern or the fullness of the pattern. And if you're using zipper, you cut at the mark I made on the pattern of facing and the right small jean. But for daily wearing, I think using invisible zipper is more suitable for it. It's easy to wear. Okay, put the front and back together, right side facing right side. Okay. Okay, sewing shoulder line in the left side seam to the slit here, and at the right side it's a little bit different. Shoulder, and using the zipper, invisible zipper here from the slit to the armhole here. Okay. 我们下一步就是和肩缝了。 那么然后接缝也左侧的这个侧缝，然后右侧呢，我个人是在做这个纸样的时候呢，在打板的时候呢，是希望是设计的是做的是全开的，是做的这个叫什么来着？隐形拉链，那个隐形拉链你可以从底拉到头，那么你也可以拉一半，从这个臀围线，这里臀围有剪口的臀围线往上，那一直到这个袖笼的底端，全部加拉链，怎么加拉链？加隐形拉链，这个网上到处都有教程，我就不在这里展示了啊。我主要是讲怎么把它合成，那么具体的工艺，这都是基础工艺，我就不教授了。然后可以这边缝合，然后这里加拉链，你也可以直接全部加拉链。那么你也可以全部做那个全开襟的。那全开襟呢，因为我在设计的时候是做半开襟，那全开襟其实也很简单，那就顺着这个形状，也跟这个前面这个贴边一样宽的布条，4厘米宽的布条加上两侧各1厘米的缝缝，那么就是6厘米宽的布条，从这个底边一直到这个开叉处，那么跟这个贴边一样的缝合就可以了。OK。这是那个裁的包边条，就是在叉口和底边还有袖口的部分呢，用的都是镜边，在纸样上方做的都是镜边，主要的目的呢就是想用这种包边条直接来包边。那如果你自己要选择其他的包边方式的话，那你可以在制作的时候自己加上1厘米左右的缝缝就可以了。
This is a bias strip for the edge decoration. It's 4 centimeter wide and fold towards the wrong side of the strip.
Iron it down. Okay, then we clip the band to the edge of the slit and hem and the armhole. Okay. Like this.就是把它夹在这个缝边上就可以了，这个叉口和底边，然后转角的地方怎么处理，这个是基本工艺啊。转角的地方要弄平整，然后在叉角的这个地方多留出来一点，然后到时候把它和这个侧缝就是缝到里面去，然后整理，然后剪去多余的边就可以了。OK， 这个是我已经做好的一边。这个是因为是比例缩小的，我先用手缝把它固定，然后再用机缝把它做平整。Okay.
So you clip the bias strip onto the edges of slits and hem
and bust to fix the place, and then after this you using the machine to stitch them onto the hem and slit and the armhole. Okay, that's all. This is armhole. 那么因为这个主要设计的是做半开日常穿的，那么在开襟的地方呢，就是用隐形拉链装上去。那你可以装隐形拉链也是可以，装那个普通的拉链也是可以。那就涉及到这个开襟的地方到底开还是普通拉链的话，你就要装到开襟的头的地方。那隐形拉链的话，在开襟往下一点。也可以装在左，也可以装在右，其实都是可以的。因为这个日常穿着嘛，你既然选择装拉链了，那其实就无所谓装左还是装右了。但最好是装在右边了。你也可以做全开襟，全开襟的话，那就是因为把你的那个大襟、小襟片，我们现在是因为做的半开襟，大家可以看一下。小襟这个现在是反面啊，小襟这个，你看它距离这个叉口，小襟这里距离叉口还是有一定距离的。那么你如果做全开襟的话，你就这边同样小襟的最底部，同样的宽度顺着这个有一定的弧度的顺着这个，因为臀围线要出去一点，顺着这边就是做一个长条。同样宽度，这长条下去到这个叉口就可以了。那如果你装那个在右侧缝装拉链的话嘛，那就是从开襟的这里一直装到这里结束，然后这边一直缝合到叉口部位。好 ，OK， if you decide to using the invisible zipper, you should so stitch the zipper from the right side here, right side seam from here to the end of the small jean, and stitch the front and back piece together till the opening of the slit. And by the way, you can sewing them together here, and you can stitch the invisible zipper at the left side. Oh, that's okay. Okay, then you should sewing them together at the right side and not leave them open. And by the way, if you wanna doing the traditional full open jean, you should extend this small jean, the end of the small jean here, the same width, and extend it to the slit. Okay.
FYI, the pattern I made is full jean, and there is a line on it. And if you want to make half jean, you just cut it there.
Okay, if you have any question, please leave message, and I will answer you as soon as possible.